Well, folks, here we again for the weekly forecast. Of course, during this last week, we dealt with off and again, on again thunderstorm activity, primarily over extreme eastern Nebraska, southeast Nebraska, and south central Nebraska. As you headed west and northwest, of course, the precipitation dropped off, and many locations did not receive any significant moisture during this last week. And so that we have seen some changes in the drought monitor, and I want to bring you up to date on that. So if we go to the drought monitor, what we're going to notice is that here in Nebraska, we're starting to see the elimination of some of the abnormally dry conditions that were painted for southeast Nebraska. And that's a reflection of the last 30 days to the 45-day period where we've been normal to slightly above normal for most of the region. There is still some drying in the 90-day out period, meaning that we're still picking up some of that residual dryness from early parts of June, late May in southeast Nebraska. So if we turn dry, don't be surprised if we see abnormally dry conditions reemerge, but as long as the precipitation remains normal to slightly above normal, we should not have to worry about a further increase in the abnormal dry areas. South central Nebraska, we have seen some slight improvements in this region as some of that severe thunderstorm activity that developed along the frontal boundary did lay out some 1 to 2 inch totals and did take off some of the eastern extent of the dryness areas. And then, of course, in the Panhandle, we've seen the western extent of the moderate drought conditions in the northern Panhandle be reduced to abnormally dry conditions. But the consensus is there hasn't been widespread enough precipitation events to broad base this area back toward abnormally dry to normal conditions. A couple major precipitation events, and we'll see this region quickly dry back up into a paint of what we call white or normal conditions. So in terms of what we expect to see over this next 7-day period, of course, we have a trough moving through the region right now, dropping precipitation across eastern Nebraska, and this looks to be the focal point of precipitation for the next 24 hours, basically Grand Island eastward, and then we will start to see this trough pivot toward the Great Lakes region, and we'll see a ridging pattern start to develop in its wake. We will still see some residual moisture across southeast Nebraska, and until we do still see the opportunity for some precipitation, although very light, as we go into tomorrow. But more importantly, as we go into Monday, we will start to see a little bit of monsoon moisture in the lower atmosphere starting to move into the southeastern part of the state, and some weak energy in the mid layers of the atmosphere that may generate some thunderstorm activity across east central and southeast Nebraska. Further west you go, the less likely you are to see any precipitation. Now, as we get into Tuesday, we still see another slug of energy coming in across northern Kansas, western Kansas, and southern Nebraska. Once again, we have the opportunity to generate some precipitation, but it doesn't look to be widespread because we have no triggering mechanism, meaning a front in the area to really develop some widespread precipitation. Now, as we go into Wednesday, we'll see that moisture still resides in our region, although most of it will probably exit the region as we get to the first half of Wednesday. So there's still going to be a chance for scattered thunderstorm activity. As we go into Thursday, we start to see ridging taking place in the region, and we'll see a return to drier weather, and that will continue into Friday. Now, if we look at the 8 to 14-day forecast from next Thursday to the following Tuesday, we are looking at above normal temperatures in response to high pressure in our region and drier than normal conditions, which do continue all the way through the first full week of September.